This is the bridge over the canal. Right here is where the key events of this video will unfold, though the person filming has no idea. We hope he made it out alive. But take a close look at the concrete wall on the left and those buildings on the right. Later, everything changed. This is what that same street looked like after 300 days of fighting. And this is after 500 days. This is Chasiv Yar, Ukraine. It's smaller than Disneyland. By the time you're watching this video, the city has been under shelling for over 600 days. Drowned in smoke, no silence, no rest. Street battles are still raging. Before you watch one of the most intense moments from the battle for Chasiv Yar, let's briefly explain why this city matters, both for Ukraine and Russia. You'll also understand why this fight is so vicious. After the fall of Bakhmut, Chasiv Yar became the next target for Russian forces. The straight-line distance between the two cities is only 3.5 to 4 kilometers. But there's no such thing as a straight line in war. Chasiv Yar sits on higher ground, the highest elevation along the entire front line, which means all approaches to it go through lowlands. This gives defenders a clear advantage and makes it far harder for attackers to advance. That's why, on this tiny patch of land, Russian losses have already reached about 99,000 troops, according to Forbes estimates. The roads into the city became bottlenecks for Russian armor. Tanks and APCs were torched here by the dozens. But the main obstacle isn't the elevation. It's the canal that cuts through the city and its outskirts. And this isn't just any canal. It's a monster with 3 deadly forms. One section is an open water channel. Another is a subterranean pipeline. And the third consists of massive pipes laid directly across the open steppe. Trying to advance across the open steppe on foot, Russian troops used the water pipes as cover, grouping in clusters of 5 to 10 soldiers. From there, they slipped into the city in small groups, regrouping at predetermined spots where others were already waiting. This is how they built assault platoons of 20 to 30 troops. And at those rendezvous points, Ukrainians were already waiting. Sometimes all the Russians had time for was to raise a flag, just so their commanders could report successful offensive actions up the chain. Brutal firefights broke out over every building, every yard, at times just inches apart. But Russian logistics were a disaster. Without proper resupply or evacuation, their infantry was chewed up fast. And movement through the city got even harder, thanks to Ukrainian drones. Within just a few weeks, there were more drones in the sky than people on the ground. FPVs, quadcopters, hexacopters. The sky was packed with them. Anyone who showed their face on the street became a target, even wearing anti-drone cloaks, even at night. Eventually, even the massive pipes stopped being reliable cover. So the Russians started digging. Little burrows carved by hand. Small shelters for 1 to 5 people. But even those couldn't guarantee survival. With no supply runs, no rotations, and no way to evacuate the wounded, they couldn't turn the tide of the battle, no matter how high the losses climbed. That's why, by late January, the Russians gambled on a risky move. They blew up sections of the pipeline to create openings and stormed into the city mounted on armor. And this is where our main story begins. Before it kicks off, please subscribe to our channel and hit that like button, because in just a moment, we won't have time to remind you. YouTube's algorithm can be a brutal battlefield too. Thanks for understanding. So here we are, fog, low clouds, and what the soldiers call Syriac, the perfect conditions for an assault. That's why Ukrainian drones only spot the breakthrough after the Russians are already inside the city. Within minutes, FPV drones take to the skies. Moments later, Ukrainian artillery joins in. Some of the Russian airborne infantry fighting vehicles are hit, some disabled. The fight is on. Still, some Russian troops manage to land, spread out, and take up positions. Ukrainians respond quickly, but poor weather makes drone strikes tricky. So, after about an hour and a half, a tank is sent into the landing zone. It creeps forward through the streets, as empty and silent as the halls of an abandoned building. And here it is. That same street. The one that will never be the same again. If not for the bad weather, this mission would have been suicide. But the same fog that grounds Ukrainian FPVs also blinds Russian reconnaissance drones, which guide their artillery. That doesn't mean the crew is safe. Elite Russian assault troops were thrown into the Chasiv Yar offensive, and they include plenty of desperate guys, the kind who'll stand up tall with an RPG and go for that one lucky shot. A direct hit, and a lone tank without infantry cover is toast. That's why Ukrainian tankers move carefully and methodically. A T-72 typically carries 44 shells, split charge rounds. Only 22 of those are loaded into the autoloader. It can fire 8 to 10 rounds per minute, but you've got to ration those shots, or you'll find yourself stuck reloading at the worst moment. Between gunshots, the 7.62mm PKT machine gun keeps pressure on the enemy. And under that kind of hot lead, survival is rare. Here's the drop zone. A wrecked Russian IFV still smoking nearby. A few more shots ring out, and then comes the order to pull back. Shot number 16. Still some ammo left. The tank carefully reverses, never turning its vulnerable rear to the enemy. Reverse speed on a T-72, only about 5.5 kilometers per hour. That's just over 3 miles per hour. But better slow and alive than fast and dead. Mission complete. But intel reports surviving paratroopers regrouping in another building. Luckily, the weather is still garbage for drones the next day. So the tank returns for a repeat. 19. 20. 21. Looks like the crew's more confident this time. 22. That'll do. Time to head back. But hey, God loves a trilogy, right? So yeah, the tank heads out again. This time, as the undisputed boss of Chasiv Yar. The guys who became tankers probably dreamed of steel duels and tank-on-tank glory. Instead, they're doing the dirty work. Because tanks were never meant to be roving howitzers. But were the Ukrainians expected this time? Shit just got real. Watch closely. After the 10th shot, an enemy FPV slams into the turret. That means another will follow, and then another, and then another. Time to pull out. You've seen what a swarm of angry FPV drones loaded with shaped charges can do to a tank, right? If not, check out our video how Ukrainian Leopard ambushes Russian convoy but runs out of shells. And if you want more like this, subscribe to our channel. You can have dozens of tanks, hundreds of armored vehicles, but none of it means anything without a guy with a rifle holding the line. Next day, the Ukrainian tank rolls forward again. This time, it's joined by an American M13 and a rare M80 from the former Yugoslavia. Their engines hum like echoes from the past. Inside the APCs, Ukrainian infantry. With a tank nearby, they feel safer. Its armor is a wall. Its cannon is a sledgehammer. A tank isn't a guarantee of survival, but it does remind you that you're not alone. If you've got a buddy, send this video to him. Let him know he's not alone either. And drop us a comment. What stood out, what didn't, what hit hardest. Thanks for watching.